Hi friends, this is Kathleen again on the fall equinox, September 22nd, 2023, and I'm at home, and that's my Christmas tree from 2022 that's going to come down tonight because I visited with my brother Paul. I tried to videotape a little blurb about this from McDonald's, but I lost my good microphone and I just had a staticky microphone and I just thought it was too annoying. So there's a picture of Paul. So I basically told Community Living BC, that's the Crown Corporation that funds L'Arche, that I was going to be visiting Paul at their boardroom on West Broadway, which is the closest one to Paul. And I said, I'm going to show up, whether he's there or not, it's up to you. You can make whatever, ask whoever you think you need to get permission from to get permission. And so I showed up there, not knowing what to expect, at 1 o'clock today, and he was there. And he seemed a little stunned, but he did recognize me. And I gave him all his Christmas presents, his birthday presents, his Halloween presents. And we had a really nice visit. He was just opening packages through most of the visit. We had an hour. And then I read him. I had gotten 2 books for him. What I do is I look on Buy Nothing Coquitlam South or South Coquitlam. That's the Facebook group where people exchange things for free. And I've gotten probably about 100 books for him. So I picked out the 2 best ones and I read him the books. And he was really interested in printing and writing and drawing. He drew right on the books. But it was just a wonderful visit. So as I tried to say in my earlier video, that this is not the end or even the beginning of the end. This is perhaps the end of the beginning of my fight. So I'm just going to try and quickly explain who the participants, who the combatants are in this fight. First of all, it's me. I'm Paul's 2-year older sister, and I'm 67. Paul's 65. We grew up together until my parents placed him in an institution when he was a teenager. And then my mother brought him out here where we live, where most of his siblings had settled in 1990. And in 1993, she placed him in L'Arche. That's L'Arche. Please Google them, look them up, and look up their founder, Jean Vanier, who was sex predator, and an admitted sex predator of approximately 60 years from the 50s until 2019 when he died. He had developed L'Arche as a sex cult that he could obtain sexual favors from the workers that work there. So that's L'Arche is one combatant. So there's me, Paul, L'Arche. L'Arche is funded by a Crown Corporation of the Government of British Columbia, which is an NDP government with the premier is David Eby, who is a lawyer, formerly from the Civil Liberties Association, the British Columbia Civil Liberties Association. So Community Living BC is, as I said, a Crown Corporation that funds almost 100%, if not 100%, L'Arche. And the expectation is that L'Arche provides residential care services for people like my brother, like Paul, profoundly disabled adults. And then there is the public guardian and trustee of British Columbia, who is supposedly, her name is Dana Kingsbury. You can Google her too. So Dana Kingsbury is responsible if someone does not have, they're not competent or they're not mentally capable to manage their finances in themselves, then the de facto person that is responsible for them is the public guardian and trustee of BC. And currently that person is Dana Kingsbury. So she's another player or another combatant in this scenario. So we have, and then I forgot, when L'Arche terminated my visits with Paul the first time, purportedly on the basis that there was a COVID-19 outbreak in his group home, I discovered that L'Arche had secretly created a document they call a representation agreement, whereby on February 1 of 2021, they say that Paul granted all of his rights, including his human rights and freedom of association, to my 81-year-old nun sister in North Bay, Ontario. So she is a member of a convent called the Sisters of St. Joseph of Sault Ste. Marie, but they're situated, confusingly, in North Bay, Ontario. That's where they're what they call their mother house is. So what happened was, I was visiting Paul. I had fallen out of visits with Paul. I had not visited him due to my own health. I had some health issues, and also I was estranged from my family for some pretty important, serious reasons. But I had a heart attack. I was diagnosed with lupus, and I had kidney failure, and I almost died. I was in the Royal Columbian Hospital in Newminster. So after all of those problems settled down and I retired, then I was in a situation where no matter how bad things were, I could discover what was going on with Paul. So I contacted Community Living BC, and they set up a meeting with Paul, and then we started visiting in March of 2021. Then, as I said, L'Arche unilaterally terminated visits in January of 2021. So I tried to get them reinstated. They wouldn't reinstate them, so I sued them, and then they reinstated them. And what I discovered through the court system is that L'Arche had secretly invited my 81-year-old nun sister, who's taken a vow of poverty and chastity and obedience to her convent. They had secretly appointed her as the decision maker for Paul. And they had Paul sign it. They said that Paul signed a document, but I've got production of the document, and the signature, to me, looks like forgery. It does not look like his signature. And the reason I know that is because I taught Paul the only word that he can print an approximation of, and that's his first name, Paul. That's it. Anyways, so after I applied to be Paul's decision maker through the court, which is the proper way to do it for somebody who's very low functioning and they're not capable of deciding who should be their representative, you should go through the court. So this is what L'Arche should have done, is they should have applied to the court, but they didn't. And I assume it's because they did not want me to be his decision maker, because I'm here and I understand his speech and his communication and I can advocate for him. And they did not want my other sister in British Columbia because she is a COVID vaccine critical person. She does not agree with the vaccine. So when the hearing was coming up, then all of a sudden L'Arche terminated permanently my visits with Paul. And I believe that's because I had complained to the public guardian trustee and everybody who would listen that I did not believe that this was a valid agreement. Now, it's important to understand agreements that disabled people are being asked to sign now, because disabled people can now be killed extrajudicially by the state, by any two medical practitioners can sign a document together with the disabled person, and they can receive a lethal injection. And they're going to include mentally ill people in March of 2024. So they keep on expanding. the kinds of people that can be killed extrajudicially as medical assistants in Canada. So it's, this is a very serious situation. It's certainly very serious with Paul, because this document purports to give away every right that he has, including his freedom of association. So I've repeatedly gone back to court. I think I've been to court 25 or 26 times. I applied to set aside this representation agreement in June of 2022, and the judge said that it had to be the public guardian and trustee that investigated this representation agreement. So that was the roadblock. I immediately asked the public guardian and trustee to investigate the agreement, which I say is void and invalid for two reasons. One is Paul is too low functioning to appoint a representative, and secondly, it's a forgery. But the public guardian trustee refused to assess or investigate the representation agreement. And that's when L'Arche terminated my visits with Paul. What I've since found out is that the public guardian and trustee and my sister's lawyer, Casey Deanshaw in Vancouver, she's got two law firms, one in Ottawa, one in Vancouver, very expensive, $350 an hour law firms. Even I've lost track of where we were. Anyway, so where we're at right now is that I had asked the public guardian and trustee to assess this representation agreement, and they refused to. They said, well, you're applying to court to have a representative or a committee appointed anyway, so you don't need us to investigate it. But what happened was my sister, L'Arche, terminated my visits. They said to my sister, you're the representative of Paul. If you do not terminate Kathleen's visits permanently with him within 10 days, we're going to evict him after 30 years. And so my sister's lawyer wrote me and said, well, there's nothing we can do. Oh, well, of course there's nothing they can do. She's in a convent 4,000 kilometers away. So I'm explaining all of this to you because I have to explain it to a judge. And, I know where I was at. As I said, I did apply to the court to set aside the agreement on the basis that Paul is incapable and it's in forgery. And the judge said I had to ask the public guardian and trustee to investigate it, that was their role and they had to do it. It was their jurisdiction, but they refused to do it. And what I discovered from Freedom of Information, this is what you learn, is that there's been a secret correspondence going on between my sister's lawyer and the public guardian and trustee. And where in court, the public guardian trustee pretended that they were neutral and did not take a position about who should be the decision maker for my brother, the substitute decision maker. They really had worked out a secret agreement, or they had secret correspondence going on between my sister's lawyer and the lawyer for the public guardian and trustee. So after my visit with Paul today, which went, I think, really well, he said he missed me throughout the visit. And then as I was leaving, he called out, I love you. Well, to hear I love you from your loved one, I mean, what could be more wonderful than that? But as soon as I got home, then I discovered that I was served with an application by the public guardian and trustee, because what they want to do is they want a court order that I cannot disclose what was what they had produced to me under the Freedom of Information Act. So they're sort of trying to change shift the focus from their secret deal with my sister's lawyer to me not disclosing things that they shouldn't have disclosed to me, that they say they accidentally disclosed to me. But we'll see how that goes. And so that's where we're at. There's my sweet brother. But the main thing is I saw Paul today. He's still alive. I'm still alive, notwithstanding that I have serious health problems, and he's 5 years older than the life expectancy for someone with Down syndrome. I mean, didn't he show the world? Didn't he show the world? And, you know, he looks pretty damn good. He looks pretty damn good. He looks depressed. He does not look like he's in dementia. He looked depressed to me. And who wouldn't be? He's attached to me. He wants to hang out with me. He's my pal. He's my buddy. And he's having his freedom of association is being infringed by L'Arche. So I know that sounds like, I basically feel like Winston Churchill at the start of World War II, when he was facing Italy and Germany and Austria, and the whole world seemed to be against him. And he just hung in there, and he hung in there, and he created a better world for all of us. We're with freedom, and we're not under socialism, not under communism. And so, I mean, in my own little tiny way, with one person, I'm trying to do the right thing and fight for my brother's rights and fight for my rights. The case is now before the BC Human Rights Tribunal, the Community Living BC, so that's the Crown Corporation that's funded by the BC government, which is run by David Eby. Remember that name, David Eby? He's the British Columbia Civil Liberties Association president at one point. Obviously, he doesn't give a damn about people's civil liberties. But the Community Living BC has applied to the BC Human Rights Tribunal to defer their decision and even our mediation until the case has worked its way through the court. And I'm saying, no, it's a completely different issue. I am the person who's seeking to have my rights enforced before the BC Human Rights Tribunal. So there's a Christmas tree that, God willing, I'm going to be able to get it down tonight. And I'm going to put my beautiful palm. I don't know if you can see that wonderful palm out there, which I found in the garbage. It's a little stump, and I built it into that beautiful big 3-foot tall palm. So the main point of this video is I wanted to thank all my supporters on Facebook. And that's Paul Fraser, Jessica Vanderveen, Sue Morley, and the rest of you guys, you know who you are, who have contributed to my GoFundMe account, who have copied and pasted that email that I put in all the videos and sent it off to the bureaucrats who are making our life hell, and who have prayed for us. And it doesn't mean nothing. You may think, oh, well, it's just a small little thing you're doing for some retired lady in Coquitlam and her little brother. But it is huge, and it could affect the rights of disabled and vulnerable people across Canada and across the world. It has the potential to do that, and I believe that it will. It means the world to me. It just, I can't tell you. It helps me get up in the morning and put in, 2 to 10 hours a day, every single day, just fighting the good fight for my brother. And it paid off so far up to now, from February 1st of 2022 till now. It's been lose, 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 lose. Go to court, lose, 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 lose. In every possible way, in every possible manner, it was like a no-win situation and losing and costing money. But slowly, like in all good things, the bad guys always lose. Have you ever noticed that? They always lose. And that's what's going to happen in this case. But the main point of this whole video is to tell my supporters and the people who've stuck by us and helped us and believed in us, thank you so much. You mean the world to me. I can't say strongly enough how wonderful I think you are and how much you mean to me. And please hang in there. Don't give up on us. I'm trying as hard as I can to restore Paul's freedom. Thank you. Take care. And Paul, I'm going to see you soon. I can just feel it. It was so much fun seeing you today, and enjoy that Pittsburgh Pirates baseball cap that I got you. and the Star Wars cookie tin and the Halloween gloves and everything else. You're the best. You're the best brother in the world. And take care. I love you, dear.